Hi, I'm Jarrad Brown, Australian expat financial planner based here in Singapore. Welcome to my video series where we cover some of the tough personal finance questions for Australians all over the world. Today I'm here to share with you 5 top tips or top questions to ask your significant other when you're planning for your retirement. It's quite amazing how we can often overlook these differences or just assume that we're both on the same page, but if we can start to tackle some of these tough questions early, we're going to be much better off down the track. So let's dive right into the 5 key questions that I would suggest you ask and make sure that you're on the same track when it comes to planning for your retirement. Now, question number 1, a relatively simple one, but a great one to tackle first, is where and how often would you like to travel? And is that travel at the front of the plane? Is it jumping in a caravan or jumping in the car and heading down to the beach for the weekend? Obviously, those two things can be remarkably different in terms of expense. Is it a $1,000 holiday? Is it a $50,000 holiday? How many times a year do you want to do this? It's important to tackle this question because this can make a large difference to how much income you're going to need into retirement. Let's get on to number 2. The second key question is, what sort of vehicle would you like to drive? Now, this sounds like a strange question to ask, but it's amazing how often this can add significant expense to our annual or our regular retirement spending. Is it a case that you want to be driving a brand new Mercedes or BMW that you want to be replacing every 2 or 3 years? Or are you just going to drive the same old family car until the wheels fall off? Again, huge difference in terms of expense, so tackle these ones early. Let's get to number 3. The third question to ask is, when would you like to retire? All too often we go through life just assuming that our partner will continue working until they're 65 or 70 or some other arbitrary retirement age. But this is often not the case. They may have a completely different idea and plan on retiring next year or when they turn 50 or 55 or 60 or some other number that's important to them. Now, the reason this is so important is not just because it's going to dictate how long your money needs to last, but it will also determine whether you're going to need to live off one income for a period of time once one of you retires. So again, tackle these questions early. Let's move on to number 4. The fourth question, and again a very important one, is A, where would you like to retire? And part B, how much of the year would you like to spend there? For a lot of us as Australian expats, we would love to retire in Australia. It's a beautiful big country and it's especially lovely in summer, or at least the warmer months. But for many of us, we'd actually prefer to spend the winter months somewhere else. Now, is that somewhere in Thailand or Malaysia? Is it Paris or the south of France or somewhere else altogether? This is going to drive a significant difference in terms of the income required, because we're going to need to be paying for airfares, we're going to have 2 sets of accommodation expenses, we may need to rent in both. It's going to change our plans significantly. What it's also going to lead to and require is some different planning in terms of your tax residency and how that income is generated in a tax efficient manner. So again, the earlier we start thinking about these things, the easier it is to plan for. So let's move on to the 5th and final question that I think is an important one to tackle early when it comes to planning for your retirement as a couple. The 5th, final, and one of the most important questions to ask your significant other is, how much money would you like to donate or to give away? Now, this could be in 2 forms. This could be a regular donation that you plan on making every month or year when you're retired, or it may be money that you're planning to leave to your estate for a charity or some other not-for-profit organisation. Now, there are only 3 things we can do with money. We can save it, we can spend it, and we can give it away. And for a lot of us, myself included, donating to and supporting charities that are important to us for a variety of reasons is going to form part of our living expenses. And what that's going to mean is that we're going to need to ensure we have enough income to continue to cover those expenses. So be sure to ask your partner, check if this is something that is important to them, that they would like to support, and make sure you plan for it accordingly. I hope that these questions have been helpful. As is always said, the key to a successful relationship is always communication. Ask these questions early, start planning for them today, and I genuinely hope that it helps you to plan for your retirement together. If you have any questions at all, please do feel free to fire them through. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you have any suggestions for future videos, questions you'd like me to cover, please do reach out and let me know. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you next time.